Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello Primary 2, how are you today? We are going to study about the stomach and the small intestine, but first let's revise about the previous informations about the digestive canal. The digestive canal is a long pipe. It's a long pipe about 9 meters. It starts with the mouth and ends with the anus. So the first part is the mouth, but the last part is the anus. So the mouth was the first station, but what is our next station? Food enters your mouth. After the mouth, he will find the pharynx. Okay, pharynx. So pharynx, the second part in the digestive canal. Pharynx is the second part. It is a cavity. A cavity leads to the esophagus. A cavity leads to the esophagus. So the food enters your mouth, then to pharynx, then to esophagus here. Pharynx, esophagus. So the first part here is the mouth. The second is the pharynx. The third is esophagus. Again, pharynx is a cavity leads to the esophagus, and I want you to know too that is the pharynx is a common cavity between the esophagus and the trachea. The esophagus and the trachea here. The trachea. Again, food enters your mouth. The food enters your mouth to pharynx to esophagus. But air enters your nose. Enters your nose to pharynx to trachea. Air to nose, to pharynx, to trachea, but food, mouth, pharynx, esophagus. Okay, so the pharynx is a common cavity between the esophagus and trachea. So this is the esophagus. It's a long pipe or a long muscular tube, okay, leads to the stomach. A long tube, muscular tube leads to the stomach. So the food enters your mouth to pharynx to esophagus to stomach, okay, mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach. Here we are. This is the stomach. So this is the last part of the esophagus. The last part of the esophagus. So the food enter your mouth to pharynx to esophagus to here the stomach, and the food here under the mercy of the stomach. It's a muscular sac, okay, which can crashing down the food by the mechanical process, okay, and stomach secretes the gastric juice, okay, the gastric juice can turn on the proteins and making an incomplete digestion of proteins by the gastric juice, and the gastric juice secretes by the stomach. So incomplete digestion occurs to the proteins by the gastric juice. The gastric juice secretes from the stomach, okay. The food stays in the stomach about 3 hours, okay. Then it will move to the small intestine. So again, our stations again food into your mouth, to pharynx, to esophagus, to stomach, to the small intestine. This is the first part of the small intestine. Let's see the small intestine here. Here we are. This is the small intestine, and this is the stomach. So our first part in the small intestine, here we have, after the stomach, our first part of the small intestine is called duodenum. So the first part of the small intestine is the duodenum, okay? So the small intestine having the duodenum in the first part of it, after the stomach directly, okay? After the stomach. And I want to know, the small intestine is very long. Its length about 7 meters. 7 meters, okay? And it is divided into two parts, the duodenum and the ileum. Duodenum. There are two juices bowered in duodenum here. There are two juices bowered in the duodenum. The pancreatic juice, which secreted by pancreas, and the bile juice, which secreted by the liver and stored in the gallbladder. Okay? The pancreatic juice and the bile juice. You know the function of the pancreatic juice and the bile juice, right? From the lesson of supplementaries here. The pancreatic juice secretes the pancreatic juice helps in digesting food, many different types of food, but the bile juice changing fats into fatty emulsions, okay? Changing fat into fatty emulsion. Okay. The next part, the ileum. The intestinal juice is stored in the ileum. The intestinal juice, it helps in digestion too. So the function of the small intestine: complete digestion of food and absorption of the digested food. So complete the digestion and absorption. And stomach, and incomplete digestion, okay? But in small intestine, complete digestion. So to summarize here, fats will change into fatty emulsion by the bile juice. Different types of food by the pancreatic juice. The pancreatic juice, complete digestion, okay? There's complete digestion will occur to the different types of food. Okay, the last part in the digestive canal is the large intestine. Starts from the end of the small intestine. So the last part of the small intestine, after it the large intestine will start. Large intestine collect the undigested food and diet cells and fibers and some waters. Collect it and store it, okay? So the large intestine stored wastes, undigested food, and the undigested food, then ejects these wastes by the anus. Okay? When the wastes, and we can call it stool, okay? The undigested food or wastes, we call it stool. When it reach the rectum, you have a message that you need to eject this waste from the anus, okay? Thank you primary 1. See you next session inshallah. Goodbye.